Hello, everyone, and welcome to Buffalo Live, your one-stop shop for live professional play-by-play reaction to every Bills game, plus the discussion you need to get through this offseason and treat that Buffalo Bills withdrawal. My name is Kyle, and today's show is going to be unique. We're going to look at this Buffalo Bills loss against the Kansas City Chiefs in the divisional round. We're going to take a look at the season as a whole, what went wrong, and then also preview this NFC Championship game, particularly from a Lions point of view. Joining me today is a very special guest. He's an excellent man. He's an excellent brother, an excellent husband. He's a loyal fan of both Bills Mafia and the Detroit Lions. Please welcome Kenny. Kenny, how are you today?
I'm good, man. Thanks for having me on. Excited for this journey for you, and I am honored to be a guest. I'll just say up front, lifelong Bills fan, as you are, but wife and I moved to Detroit about 3 years ago, and it was very easy to jump on this diabolical bandwagon that is the Lions. So got the Buffalo background, Detroit shirt. It was really nice to be a Bills fan living in Detroit until this past weekend, but now it's so nice to live in Detroit.
Yeah. Yeah. Super, crushed for this Bills team, but super excited for the Lions and just, for the franchise, the history of it all. And we are definitely going to dive into them today. But, we're several days removed from this Bills loss. Let's talk about that first. Just give me, how are you doing? How are you doing with the loss? Does it feel like 2 weeks ago, or does it feel like just, a couple hours ago?
Feels like 5 minutes ago, dude.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm happy that it was at least on Wednesday that we're doing this, but we talked about, we're going to analyze a little bit about why the Bills didn't get away with a dub. I can't watch the film yet. I'm just not ready emotionally. So I'll get there. I had to go down into mom and dad's basement. Abby and I visited them this past weekend, and I just had to process for about an hour after the game. I was like, I got to be by myself and just soak a little bit.
Right. Just need some alone time. Yeah, absolutely. All right, man. Well, let's dive into it. I will start with you, Kenny. The Bills lost in this game 27-24 against an excellent Chiefs team. From your perspective, why or how did the Bills lose?
Right. And so I said I haven't rewatched the film, but I have a good impression already. It's clear in my mind about some thoughts I have.
Yeah.
Dude, it just felt like it was our destiny to win that game going into it. It felt so good. I want to get back to that feeling. But I just felt like playing our linebackers backups. They just brutalized us, man. Like over the middle throws to Kelsey and a couple others, and then the Mahomes scrambles, and Pacheco's always finding the right hole to get what felt like 20 yards every time. Yeah. I feel like if we had Milano and Bernard in there, it wouldn't have gone like that. I can't help but feel like it wasn't the backups. It was the backups, dude.
Right.
Like that was brutal. And you never like to blame injuries. That's not a very honorable thing to put the game on, but dude, that sucked. Yeah. It just felt like they always had an option, It was just so frustrating to watch. I think our offense was great. I mean, ran the ball really well early. We had to check away from the run a few times, I saw. And then in the fourth quarter and in the second half into the fourth quarter, when we really needed those plays, the Diggs drops, the Sherfield drop.
Yeah.
Didn't happen when we need them. So
right.
I'm not going to blame. Also, we got to consider that fake punt. That hurt. Dad and I were just like, what was that? So
you hated that call?
Did not hate the call. But to see it not happen, it was like, oh no. I think I heard that we checked to that. It's possible that I think maybe Romo said on the call, he was like, I think he said they checked to this when they saw the numbers this way or that way. But I want us to do more of that. Just because it doesn't work on that play, like the Lions do it almost once a game, and it works most of the time. So if that's an element we could add to our special teams, I'm fine with that. But it was brutal for it to not work during that.
Yeah.
So those are my thoughts, dude. Our backup linebackers. Let's not forget about Naeem Hines. Let's not forget about Damian Harris. Let's not forget about
Yep.
Gabe Davis. Let's not forget about Trey White. Like we're missing some pieces that I can't help but feel like if we had them,
Yep.
the game would have been ours. So those are my thoughts.
You went in the same direction that I was going to go. And it's not the sexy place to go after a game because it sounds like so much an excuse, but that you have to. It's not an excuse as much as it is putting the game in context. And you listed off some of those names already, but I want to just take an overview of them as well. I am
Sure.
like reluctant to do so because it will inherently come across as an excuse, but that's not it. We need to remember when we look back on this game how injured this Buffalo Bills team was. Okay. And we also need to look at the Kansas City team and how injured they were. So we'll talk about that. But here we go. So for the Bills, you had 13 players injured that were out for this game. Starting cornerback 1, Trey White. Starting cornerback 2, Christian Brentford. That's your 2 starting cornerbacks. Linebacker 1, Matt Milano. Linebacker 2, Terrell Bernard. There's your 2 starting linebackers. You mentioned it. Your backup linebacker, Balin Spector, linebacker 4, also injured. Now you're signing a guy off the couch, and AJ Klein, and I'll talk about him later today. And then you've got your second free safety on the other side of the ball, or rather the same side of the ball, Taylor Rapp, second free safety, who, by the way, the Bills use a lot in cover 3 or nickel packages where they bring Jordan Poyer down. They plug in Taylor Rapp a lot. Your third D tackle in Jordan Phillips, you mentioned it, Damian Harris, Naeem Hines, your backup tackle, Tommy Doyle, Gabe Davis, who's a starting wide receiver for you, and not to mention Justin Shorter, who would have come in, been activated for this game likely, if not for his injury.
Right.
He probably would have been activated with a Gabe Davis injury, but he too is injured. And then last but not least, your punter's playing on a torn left hamstring. So those are your Bills injuries. Now we can't talk about those without going to KC. So we'll look at theirs and just bear what I just said in mind with all those starters. Now let's look at Kansas City. They had 8 people out. Wide receiver 4, Sky Moore. Wide receiver 5, Kadarius Toney. Cornerback 5, your backup offensive tackle, Wanya Morris. And this is their biggest guy that was out. Their D tackle, Derek Nottie, who was a starting D tackle. That was their only starting player that was out.
That mattered truly because our running game was working, but not as much as their others do. Like not as much as ours did. I can't help but say that. Yeah.
Right. So, and then there's a few other guys here, and you can always go back to, well, did you look at the player's medical history, and well, is your medical staff truly up to snuff? But I just really believe that, and like we're going to talk about AJ Klein tonight. We're going to talk about where Dane Jackson probably failed, but this team was heavily injured, and I just believe if you took these 2 teams at full strength, like I think the Bills could have pulled this off. It's a play or 2 here or there, and you look at the injury report, so
For sure, especially considering how they beat us, bro. Like the linebackers in Rap, I was muted like an idiot when I said this, but Rap's being out was like a way bigger deal than it seems. Like the layman doesn't know how big of a deal that was.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Right.
I agree with you. It's hard. It sucks to have to look at that and you feel like a little baby, but like, dude, you can't ignore it. That's huge.
So I just hope when Bills fans look back on this game, they're not saying, the Tyler Bass missed kick, or the defense played like crap. Like, put it in context, man. Yes, could things have been different? Yes, Tyler Bass could have made that kick. Yes, the defense could have played better. Some decisions could have been made differently, but that's always there too. You got to place it in proper context. So beyond that, as far as the game, I think that AJ Klein had a very rough game. How much can you blame the guy? He was ready to retire. But this, I think, brings you to a different point, which is that there was a failure to get Dorian Williams ready. I don't know if it's a Dorian Williams issue or the coaching's failure to develop him, but I think he needed to be in this game with a green dot, commanding the defense and he just wasn't ready, and so he didn't
I thought
start.
that too.
Yeah.
I totally agree. Yeah.
So, um,
He
defensively,
flashes, dude. He like when he
yeah,
like he makes plays that I never saw Edmonds make even. Like Edmonds, he was amazing, but like those dudes, Bernard and Williams, like they're studs. And
yeah,
I agree with you. Like where were those? Where was Williams? He had a whole year, you know?
right, right. So, and again, like you don't know whether to blame Williams or Bobby Babich. It's hard to blame Bobby Babich because we know the track records he's had with the linebackers. So I'm more inclined to shift the blame towards Williams, but
He's a rookie.
yeah,
Takes
he's a
some
rookie,
time.
right? Right. And for this game, for whatever reason, he just was not ready to start in this divisional round against, a
Mhm.
juggernaut in the Chiefs. So, just a couple other notes that I have here. Again, I don't think Dane Jackson played his best game. I don't think that the D line generated much pressure, although I think the Chiefs did
Like
a good.
none, dude.
Yeah, yeah,
That
and
was so annoying. And he got rid of the ball quick.
that's what I was about to say.
But
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
So, I think he did break contain a few times, but just he needed more out of the D line. Offensively, I think after the first half, I looked at Kevin, our other brother, and said I would not have called a play differently. I thought it was a great first half offensively, and then the second half goes along, and I just was begging for more aggressive play calling. And I want to bring up this stat here and see what you think about it, Kenny. Average intended air yards for this game. Okay, this is the amount of yards that Allen is throwing between line of scrimmage and where the ball actually goes, where it's
Right.
intended on every attempt. The average intended air yards, even with those couple deep shots he had, was 5.5 yards. That was the second lowest all season. So I'm just going to pause there. What are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, and there were like two or three plays, maybe even three or four plays where we tried to get the ball to dig like in screens and stuff. And every Bills fan hates our screen game, and so that brings that number down. Um, it, what can you say though, man? Like the deep shots, they didn't work. Like I don't. There was the one to Diggs, right?
Yeah.
I think it was in the first half. It was all blurry, bro. But
Yeah.
it didn't. It seemed like we didn't do anything when we threw the ball deep. I was so psyched with our running game. And then in the
Yeah.
second half, they started having like 7, 8 man boxes, and Josh like had to check out of it. And when
Yeah.
we checked out of it, it didn't work. I watched that happen like 4 or 5 times.
Mm-hmm.
So I totally agree that that number is frustrating, but
Yeah.
it would have also felt equally frustrating if we kept throwing the ball downfield to have receivers drop passes, or
Right.
we didn't have the classic Josh pass punt. I feel like
Yeah.
that would have potentially. Anyway, I'm being a negative guy right now, but I think we're at our best when we can complete those passes, and it was a bummer that that didn't happen except for one time.
Right. Yeah. The drops, you don't know what that does for a game momentum wise if you catch that ball. If Diggs catches that, if Sherfield gets that one, I think it was in the first quarter. But yeah, that was so disappointing. And that second half, it seemed like Joe Brady he stuck to this game plan, which is, we know it was keep control of the ball and bleed that clock, give your defense a chance to rest on the sidelines. But I think when it was time to turn it up a notch and let this offense really fly, do what it's really capable of, like it felt like they still had the reins on Allen. And that's why I think we had to, settle for 7 points the entire second half. Like that is
Yeah,
bad.
I don't disagree with that. I don't
Yeah.
disagree with that. Yeah,
So
that's a good point. What else can you say? I wish I'm sorry I couldn't watch the game film. I could have rewatched
that's
the whole
okay.
game. I'm
Yeah.
just not ready emotionally. I could have had
Yeah.
some more apt commentary. Maybe later we can do that.
I feel like every Bills fan's different with that. It's either they're going to rewatch it and rewatch it and rewatch it, or they're just never going to watch 13 seconds again, never going to watch this game again. So, is what it is. But so let's shift focus to this offseason. And really just thinking about the season as a whole. If you're Brandon Beane, what are your priorities? What's the number one thing you do?
Number one thing, don't listen to the fools who want you to fire McDermott.
Yes.
Don't listen to the fools saying blow it up, start over, blah, blah, blah. That's silliness. That's overreaction. That's not knowing what we have. And that'd be throwing the baby out with the bathwater. That's number one. Don't blow up the team would be a huge mistake. We'd start from scratch.
Right.
Like from scratch means a 17-year playoff drought.
Yeah.
So, and then number two is coordinators. I, say what you will about Dorsey, but he clearly wasn't working for everybody. And I think that was Josh's preference. And he was Josh's preference. So I want him to hire somebody, grab for just hypothetically a Bieniemy who's coming out of a team needing a refresh. Yeah. I want Josh to be happy, but I don't care what he thinks about the offensive coordinator. I want somebody to take a fresh look that can utilize the weapons we have in ways that are, dude, it's so frustrating. I feel like we have such good players on offense, but our offense has been frustrating to watch for 2.5 years. We leave points on the field every drive, every game, not drive. It seems like.
Yeah.
So a new OC is going to be huge, and hopefully a creative one. But
so then you're not thinking Joe Brady.
No. I mean, maybe Joe. So let's say hypothetically, Joe Brady didn't want to mix things too much up during his interim time. Maybe he's got some ideas in a new system he wants to implement. But I just feel like a fresh set of eyes has such value for our offense. Like Dorsey was the quarterback's coach before he I want somebody outside, bro. I want somebody that can take a whole new I feel like we're in a group think and we just can't get out of it. And we need some diversity in ideas and in play calling that we haven't had since Dable. And not that I'm just loving Dable, but somebody different, somebody outside of the system. I would love that.
Right.
And then a defensive coordinator, I don't want McDermott to call the plays. I think he did a great job, but I think similar to Dan Campbell, McDermott is a better leader of men, game manager. I want him to be there for the team, culturally and energy and momentum wise. I don't want him to have to be sweating, calling plays and having to go to the sideline to talk to his defense while the offense is on the field. I want somebody that McDermott, hire who you want. Hire somebody who's just going to copy paste what you do, but I don't want you to have to do that.
Yeah.
So those are my feelings on the coordinator, and that's number two. And I got a few other small things regarding personnel.
Sure.
But would you agree about the defensive coordinator thing or no?
Yeah.
I liked that he was more aggressive, and that was very clearly a thing. He blitzed more. We played more man this year. I like those things, but you can hire somebody to do those things while you talk to your guys. Sorry, go ahead.
No, yeah. I think was not something I've really given thought to, because I am comfortable with McDermott as your DC. I think as we agree, I think he had a great year. But I think those are valid points about, you wonder if some of these coaching decisions or coaching mishaps, 12 men on the field at the end of Denver, or, why are we kneeling the ball at the end of the fourth quarter at Philadelphia? I don't know if this is a stretch, but is McDermott going to correct those things if he's not worried about the defense? I don't know, but I would be fine. I would be fine with McDermott staying the DC, and I would also be fine personally with Joe Brady staying as the OC. And here's my reasoning. But I again, if they go out and do what you suggest, I would totally be fine with that. I'm not going to sit here and cry about it. I'm going to miss Joe Brady. No. But I think the aggressiveness, and this is where I am coming from for this offseason. I think this team needs to be more aggressive offensively. And I think that you look at when Joe Brady took over after Ken Dorsey, that was ramped up a bit. And I think he also he showed against, and this is a very specific detail, but I think it's very important. against Dallas, he had a game plan that was, let's run the ball down these guys' throats. And he stuck with it. And that's something that, even someone as coveted as Mike McDaniel struggles with at times. So, like, to me, he has what it takes to be an OC in this league. Does he have, can he drop the best X's and O's? I don't know. That's still left to be seen. He was, after all, more or less operating from Dorsey's playbook. So I say let's give him the chance to create his own playbook this offseason and have at it, But do your due diligence with interviewing. And then I turn my attention to 2 key positions, and that is the QB coach. Go hire the next Joe Brady, right? Go hire someone that is going to be there if things don't go well with the new OC. Go hire someone who is the next top talent, and then your backup quarterback. I do not like the Kyle Allen signing. I did not like it when it happened.
I agree with you on that.
To me, he's a mannequin on the sidelines. You need someone who is going to cultivate a coaching relationship with Josh, almost one where Davis Webb, exactly. And Davis Webb, by the way, is now Russell Wilson's QB coach, and he had Russell Wilson had a great season this year. But a relationship where, I'm just going to throw this name out here, a Joe Flacco maybe on a cheap deal. You make Joe talk, you make Josh listen, and there is a good relationship there where he is encouraged to be confident, take shots. You be you, Josh, because Kyle Allen, what are you getting out of Kyle Allen? It's just a friendship there on the sidelines that isn't even really much of a contributing factor in game.
Social media posts that make jokes about their last names are the same. Like, yeah, that's funny, but I'm ready to move on from that. I agree with you, dude.
Just a couple other stats I want to throw out here. The Bills were 28th in the NFL in percentage of explosive plays. That's just plays that go past 10 yards. 28th. And they were 19th in plays that went 20 plus yards. So I want someone who is going to, get us there in the top 10 at least. Like, let's use Allen's arm and let's stop trying to just move the sticks. Did you see the Chiefs this past Sunday? They weren't interested in moving the sticks. They were interested in scoring touchdowns. Let's get 50 yards down the field like that. So that's the kind of OC I want.
Yeah. So promoting and hiring a QB coach feels like, to me, and I would be fine if we kept Joe Brady. I would not be mad at that, but it feels like going through the motions. I'm ready to just try something new at that role, but I'm just going to rapid fire some stuff, keep it schmoving here. Yeah. I want Diggs one more year. I don't want to get rid of Diggs. I think he's important to Josh, and I think he has more to give. I think with another part of this, getting another receiver, whether it's in free agency or the draft, depending on who falls to where when we're picking, take some heat off Diggs. It's cliche, but I'm not ready to move on from Diggs yet, and I think it would be expensive to do so. I'm not 100% sure on the numbers, but unless you can just trade for his contract. But anyway, I want to keep Diggs, and I want him. Vaughn, I'm trying to give him grace on the injury, dude. I feel like he looked more explosive towards the end of the season. Maybe he was just getting it, but I'm ready to move on from Vaughn. Hopefully, if depending on what we can get, obviously, but I just feel like he did nothing for us this year. Nothing. Yep. And this is kind of spicy, but when I heard that the whole assault charge thing happened and it's been dropped, but to me that felt like your life is mixed up on the field. You're not together here, and that kind of stuff doesn't happen unless something's going on off the field too, man. I just feel like,
good point.
I feel like his life is not in a healthy place to be a Pro Bowl Hall of Fame defensive end right now for us, or outside linebacker. Technically he is, I think. But I'm ready to ship Vaughn. Hopefully we can get a good contract for him. Obviously, get a good trade. I mean, somebody will cover his money we're giving him. Yeah. So that's my last thoughts on that.
Sure.
Ship Vaughn, keep Diggs. I think, and Josh loves Diggs, and Diggs loves Josh. So I don't want to blow that relationship up.
And man, it feels like we could talk for another couple hours here.
I know we got to keep it moving.
Yeah, because we want to hit on these lines. I'll just say very quickly, I'm in a different place with Diggs. I'm thinking This is a guy who's turning 31 this year, and he's still a clean route runner by all the experts' accounts. The Joe Marinos and the Sal Capaccios of the world. They say his routes are still clean. It just didn't work for whatever reason. He was 13th in receiving yards this year, 7th in receptions, tied for 8th in touchdowns. So the best GMs get rid of players right before they hit their precipice. And that's where I'm at with him. See what you can get in return. I would love to even get what the Vikings got from us when we traded for Diggs. I don't know we get that much, but something like that. But it's interesting we're on different places with him.
I wouldn't be mad at that. I don't want to extend him, but like give me one more year with a new receiver,
Yep.
Ship Davis off. Give me somebody else. We'll drop that. I know we got to get him moving, but yeah.
So, lots to do. I'm sure, we're going to have you on again, and we're going to really dissect this offseason even further. But let's shift our attention now to this Detroit Lions team playing in the NFC Championship game this Sunday. Kenny, give me the keys to the Lions defeating the San Francisco 49ers.
Yeah, man. So, these guys are starving. Hyenas, watch out. These guys are controlled fury, pure octane, man. They're dragging teams down to the abyss.
Is that Dan Campbell?
They've drowned the Vikings, the Rams, the Bucks. They knocked the Packers to the 7th seed. The Chiefs in week 1. Man, these guys are real.
Yeah.
Dan Campbell, just like McDermott, they're leaders of men, and I love that dude. He Detroit is all about Dan Campbell. Abby's got a Dan Campbell jersey. So keys to success starts with the trenches. Our offensive line's better than theirs. I want us to be able to run the ball, and I want us to be able to keep the linebackers honest and to throw the ball outside of the numbers, because their linebackers are probably the best linebackers in the league. The 49ers those dudes are freaking sick.
Yeah.
So I want to run at Bosa. I just want the offensive line to shine in this game. It's really hard to make an offensive line shine, but I feel like they need to if the Lions are going to win.
Yeah.
And then on defense, we have to get to Purdy. Like it's the trenches. Like we have to get to Purdy. Our linebackers cannot cover the Debo, and Debo may or may not play, but the Debos, the Ayuks, the CMCs, our linebackers can't cover those dudes. So we need to blitz so we don't have to cover them. Neither can our cornerbacks, to be frank with you. So and then I want light boxes, and I want to blitz from those light boxes. To make CMC be a more run first back, because I know that our defensive line with McNeil and the beefcake dudes we got in there, like they're much better than having to have a linebacker cover CMC. I don't want that. So I've got some more thoughts, but you got to make the game about the trenches,
Yeah. Speaking of trenches, you got 2 players they're dealing with injuries. Jonah Jackson, guard, is doubtful for this game. And then one of my favorite players in the league, Frank Ragnow, questionable, expected to play through a knee and ankle sprain.
I think Frank will play. Yeah, he's a beast. Yeah. He's a beast.
This is a guy, I learned this today, Kenny. This is a guy who fractured his throat in 2020 and finished the game before missing 2 games after that. So this guy is a dog. Didn't miss a snap last week. He didn't allow a pressure against the Bucks against 2 great defensive tackles in Kalijah Kancey and Vita Vea.
Yeah, so it's amazing.
Yeah,
that offensive line is the key. I told that's it, dude.
Right,
100%.
So, and then you mentioned Debo. It would be huge for the Lions if Debo does not play in this game. We'll see, but so let's get into this confidence scale. I love this segment of the show. Kenny, if you got a 1 to 10 scale, 1 is the 49ers are going to destroy the Detroit Lions. 5 is, why are you asking me this question? It's a coin flip. And 10 is the Lions are going to destroy the 49ers. Where is your confidence level for this game?
All right. Dramatic reveal at the end of my answer. 49ers are a really great team, probably a better roster. They have a playoff pedigree. Their coaching staff is established. They have pedigrees as well. But the Lions aren't pushovers. They were founded on grit. They exude grit. They live grit every time they step on the field. Dan Campbell is I think literally the best leader of men in the NFL coaching sphere. He's just his dudes are bought in. His dudes are bought in.
Yeah.
And I think the team is ready. I think if we play with the heart and we play with our bigs the way that they can play, I'm at a 6. And the 6 meaning a little better than a coin flip, I think I'm giving it to the Lions.
Wow.
Where would you be hypothetically?
Yeah, I wasn't going to give an answer, Kenny. I mean,
You don't have to. You don't have to. But I'm at a 6.
yeah.
Like it's going to be tight, dude. These guys are tough, but I give it a 6.
Yeah, I hesitate to give an answer. I haven't really, grinded the tape with this 49ers team. I know, semi how they're structured. I know they have a lethal team. I don't know. I think I lean in the 4s, but not by much. This is a good Lions team, like you said. I think this is a team that just has that Dan Campbell X factor. These guys are, willing to, as the saying goes, run through a brick wall. So I would lean probably a 4.7.
That's fair.
But it's not going to surprise me if the Lions can pull off this upset. So,
and don't forget they're America's team right now. They're America's
okay.
team.
I thought the Bills were America's team. I guess they lost, so now Lions are.
The Lions are America's team right now, dude. It's 100%. Everybody wants them to make it to the Super Bowl.
Yeah, absolutely.
And how fun would it be if we could do it? Yeah. Detroit is a buzz. I work at Henry Ford Hospital, and they're letting us wear Lions gear to work every day. They don't do that ever. They're letting us wear Lions gear to work.
By the way, we can't not mention on this call, Kenny got the chance to meet one of the star players on this team, Amon-Ra St. Brown. How awesome was that, by the way?
The sun god. I mean, he was willing to give me a lot of time. He's a nice guy. He had a whole bunch of cameras behind him, but I still got to ask him how good it was to beat his brother because it was after the Chicago game, so he beat Equanimous in that game. Yeah, nice guy. I'm taller than him.
I saw the picture. I saw that. Yeah.
Yeah, he's small, but dude, he's just built like I don't know. He's sculpted,
he
like Amon-Ra, the actual god.
To me, he is one of the toughest receivers in the league. If people didn't know, his father and Equanimous's father is a bodybuilder. I mean, these guys are bred from a different cloth. Like they are, they've got the toughness factor there. So that's really awesome. But Kenny, any last rounds? Anything else you want to share about either the Bills or the Lions?
Go Bills, go Lions. I got nothing else to say, dude. Just trying to avoid another heartbreak this weekend. Yeah, I would love it. And I appreciate you having me on. Excited for you on this journey.
Yeah.
And I'll be back anytime.
Thank you. Absolutely. We'd love to have you on. So that is going to do it for this edition of Buffalo Live, your one-stop shop for live professional play-by-play reaction to every Bills game, as well as some discussion here to get you through this offseason. Please be sure to like this video if you enjoyed. Comment, why did the Bills lose this Sunday? What changes need to be made this offseason, and what do you think about these championship games this weekend? And lastly, please consider subscribing to Buffalo Live. Once again, I'm your host, Kyle. Thank you so much for watching. God bless, and go Bills.